Hi everyone. Today's topic is respect. What is the meaning of respect for you? You know, if you look into any Eastern religion, um, bowing even in front of the gods, deities, it seems like something that people do as a sign of respect. Slight bow and bending forward to certain degrees 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. And if you see culturally as well, if you see elders or someone you think that you should respect, someone with a higher status or people bend, just even a nod, showing as a sign of respect. And in some cultures, hugging is something that they do as to show love and respect. And in certain cultures, kissing the cheeks is considered as something showing respect. And it seems very offensive in some other cultures if you do the same thing. And in some cultures, touching a person's feet, whether they are aged person or elder than you or someone with authority, power, money, or something that you need from them, it is a sign of respect that people do. And this is all something people do because it was taught to them. You know, the understanding of respect and disrespect, it's very personal. It comes with the training that we receive from our childhood. It depends on the culture, religion, family system, and everything that we were born into. But personally, respect is something that we hold on to. You can divide that into two categories. Something that's we perceive as respectful, because there are people, and especially certain older generation people, if you sit in front of them cross like, they consider this as something very disrespectful. And there are certain other things, if you shake your legs, even if you're nervous, if you're anxious, if you're worried about something, and involuntarily if you shake your legs, they may consider it as a very disrespect. And if there are certain people who consider as a very disrespect, if you know if they're having any conversation and if you try to insert your words in, even if it is a valid point, they might consider it as a very disrespect, because it seems like you question their authority. So there are lots of ways that people consider this is respect, this is disrespect. I am talking about twin flames. I'm talking about who are not twin flames. Respect comes in a very different way. Personally speaking, I already said there are two ways to distinguish these kind of things, as this is how it is, this is how it is. If somebody is living a life where they have to please and bend backwards and compromise and sacrifice a lot, even if it seems like a very comfortable life, that is something that soul considers as not something sufficient for the role of being, in this human body that's closer to the divine. Which means respect is something that our higher self decides, this is how it is, that is how it is. In the spiritual realm, there is nothing as respect or disrespect. This is all, very linear stuff. It's all about the ego. Because if there is a person who, if you speak to them very directly to their face, even if it is a fact, depending on your body language, depending on your tone, depending on their mood as well, they may consider us very rude. So when we need to consider these kind of things, it is our responsibility to not to think what other may perceive our actions, our responses, and only consider what we consider as something that actually works for us. And in order to do that, accepting the self is very, very important. Self acceptance. When we accept ourselves, we do not see any fault in our behaviors, and we do not look into someone else's perspective of, no, if I do these kind of things, they might consider it as a disrespect. But if you're somebody with a, it's not even about the power or the money or the situation, it's all inner self, uh, people may usually think, if you have a power or if you have lots of money, then you don't have to win in front of others, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. That is true to only to certain extent. I have seen people personally with a, who do a very nominal job, doesn't work much, doesn't earn much, but their personality is something that you cannot tell them things, you cannot ask personal things, you cannot tell them anything other than strictly professional things, because that is their personality. Because whatever their situation is, whether it's a job related, finance related, or anything social, culturally, they have respect for themselves. That is something that spiritual person can do. This is exactly, having a spiritual aspect in life is very important. My point of this video is something, when ego says this is respect, this is disrespect, it creates a reaction within us. But it's also very important to not to let go of that self respect in the name of showing somebody else respect. That is the point. Basically, two things that we can do. One thing, sitting down and purge all the unnecessary, that ego based thought process, behaviors, consideration that if anybody has, this is respect, this is how it's not considered as respect, and let them go, whether it's from you to someone else or from other people towards you. And second thing is, a simple question can give you the answer. If you yourself is a god, with unconditional love towards yourself and towards everybody else, how would you feel? You would not feel offended by anything, and you wouldn't consider anything as offense as well. But also, you won't let anybody bring any kind of a negativity to you as well. This is how we are supposed to behave. Respect and disrespect is something internal. So instead of considering a lot of things as disrespect, or letting things be, considering that this is how we show respect to others and belittling ourselves, there is a correction that we can do within our own self by reconsidering the every behavior that we do, every, even the smallest of the things. For example, if you're it might be a little controversial if I say something like this. You're standing in front of the deity. Imagine if you're somebody with the Eastern religion. If you're standing in front of a deity, whether it's a temple or your own home, you ask something, you have a conversation, you pray, or you whatever you remember, and people touch their heart, with their hands, and they bow. Did anybody told you from the divine world to bend? No, it's a custom that came with the religion, came with a system that we are all born into, isn't it? It is because it was taught. If you sit just straight and if you speak to the deity as if you are the best friend, there are a lot of people, they may feel like they're offending the god. You really think the god has an ability to be unkind to people? The meaning of God itself is unconditional loving. So then why you are bowing in front of the God, or why you are bending, or thinking that if you say something like this, if you keep this to the temple area in your home, that seems like a very disrespect to the deity. It is not. One thing that we can consider is cleanliness. That is we can do. It is all in the heart. It is all in the mind. This is why we need that spiritual understanding. This is why when we are spiritual ascending, these kind of realization comes. It was taught to us by somebody else, another human. This is the form of respect. If you're standing in front of the God, please don't get offended if you are really interested in knowing. They would rather hug you, deities, and they would tell you, this is how it is, this is not how it is, for your own good, for your own highest good. If somebody is, even if you consider as a human, somebody human loves you unconditionally, they would not consider anything as offensive. They would not consider anything as, negative. No matter what you do, it is all forgiven, it is all accepting for them. So when we can, so it's very personal with the deities. Yeah, I can understand that. This is very personal with the gods. But what I'm trying to say, by showing you, by giving you this one example, by default that we do, because of the system that we are born into on earth, these kind of little things can, comp up and become a habit. Why I'm saying this is because I had to relearn a lot of things in last 1 decade of my life, to not to do certain things which we were taught to do. It was very questionable moment of my life. And everything that we were taught, this is how it is, that is how it is, this is how respect is, this is how we are supposed to appreciate certain things, relationship, people, as a token of gratitude towards somebody else. But it's also very important to separate something that we are not supposed to do. Sincerity is something that's very important. If you bow in front of somebody, even if it is human, if it is not sincere, it does not mean anything. For the divine, being sincere is utmost important because they mean it. So we are supposed to do that. Whether we sit and cross your legs and sit, whether you shake your legs, whether you're wearing shoes, whether you're a little bit of a straightforward person, whether you're a rude person, whether you're a soft-hearted person, whether you're somebody doesn't believe in a God, having a sincerity is something that we are supposed to do. And showing our self-respect is also something very, very important. This is exactly why, it's better to segregate and separate the behaviors, the things, the belief system that does not serve us in the name of respect. Because there are a lot of people who wouldn't attend any wedding functions if the invitation doesn't actually comes on time, or if they send you through mail, they wouldn't respond even, because for them respect is something that the people has to come to their home and invite them with the invitation and coax them, and please do attend our function, this and that. It's simply because they have made it a habit. I would not comment there on them personally. It's how it works for them. But if you are watching because of some spiritual reasons, this is something that even suggestible for everybody to remove ourselves from the egoistical behaviors. Ego doesn't mean being proud behavior. No. Ego is something that binds us to illusions. This body, this name, this identity, this education, this existence, this personality, this job, this career, this relationship, this binding, this is all a ego-based understanding. I have met people in astral realms that I have never met in a human life in this lifetime. And there are a lot of dreams that I saw, which immediately when I woke up in the morning, I did remember, but after 30 minutes, after an hour, I forgot. I basically met a lot of souls on earth while I was sleeping, which I have no recollection of. I never met them in my personal life. There are a lot of people who are little bit celebrities, there are a lot of people who I don't know who they are, basically. So we behaved as if we knew each other. And by imaginally, even if I meet them in my real life, I wouldn't know whether they do remember me or not. So, on a soul basis, we are all equals. We are all connected to each other. We know each other. I wouldn't say every single soul know everybody, but there are a lot of people who vibrate similarly, do have a connection with each other. Basically, we all have a energetic connection with all of us. So this is why when we are in a human body, letting go of that identity that does not serve us is also very important. Why I mentioned about my personal experience is something, you know, I've had a, no, it was very eye-opening experience for me because the conversation I had in the astral realm, certain conversation I do remember, certain conversation I do not remember. I only remember meeting them and saying goodbye to them. What conversation that I had with them, I had yet to remember. Maybe I would one day. So it tells something about us that we are on earth. We are supposed to ascend. We are supposed to understand that this is all a kind of illusion. This is all something that we need to elevate ourselves from. So first thing that we can do is to understand what is our identity is, which is the basic, I usually say in almost all of my videos. But this topic is about respect. My point is something same. Respect is something that taught to us in a short way, if you say. If it is something that does not serve us, it makes you suffocated, angry, upset, anxious, or if the behavior is not serving us, even if we are not aware of, it is better we recognize it and let go of it. Respect is something that in the eyes of the divine is us loving ourselves, us having that self-love, self-respect, self-worth, having the ability to be completely authentic is something that we can consider as us having a respect towards ourselves. What other shows towards us is something that's reflect their personality, their internal self, and how spiritually aware and uplifted or ascended they are, how much they are into their spiritual journey. It shouldn't matter to us. What we are supposed to do is, for example, if a person who's living a very sheltered life where they don't have to work or earn money, but the one who is providing is very controlling, even if they can go everywhere, they have a lot of financial stability and they can buy anything, they can do anything, they can order people around, but they have something that makes them feel like a caged person. They may not even realize it after some times because it seems like a little bit adjustment, but for the soul that is something that we are not supposed to do, because if it is suffocating, it is not good for us to bend that way. Having a financial independence is very essential because of that. Why I am saying this, if anybody who's a twin flame is watching this is exactly why spirit guardians, the guardian angels, the divine forces, divine feminines to be financially independent. It is because it's not good for the soul. It is spiritually not so right, because after all, we are a complete beings. We do not lack anything. In order to understand, we are supposed to be in a mode of the divine, means divine feminine, from a wounded feminine to divine feminine. That is the point of healing. This is exactly why showing ourselves respect means we being in a place where we can easily say yes and no and be absolutely authentic. We don't need to do a single thing. We don't need to do a single thing that in a way that, if somebody get offended, then what will I do? That is why we do these kind of things, bowing in front of somebody, or saying yes to something. If somebody says something and you say yes, because if you say no, they may get offended, even if it is somebody who's a neighbor or your own family person. This is all small things that comes together. So this is exactly why, as I summarized before, having an understanding of internal question, this is respect, this is not respect, is very important. So what we can do is stop reacting to people's behavior, whether they say this, whether they say that, whether they expect something from you, or they may accuse you of something, or you may be thinking, saying, behaving in certain way to earn somebody else's respect. This is the time to pause. This is the time probably to give it a thought. Is this behavior serving my higher purpose? So with a little bit adjustment, we can change that. And how we can change that is showing ourselves the respect, the love, because we are supposed to be that. We are divine, means we are supposed to show ourselves that love, respect, having an understanding that we are worth it. It is not something that we're supposed to openly say with the words. It's supposed to be in a practice by default. We are supposed to behave and emit that energy rather than seeing it that I'm worth it, I'm worth it. This is the point of my video. I hope you understand.